Hello friends, it's a fabulous Friday again. We're here to talk a little bit more about using the language of children so that we have better communication and ultimately better relationships. And so today we're going to talk about one thing that's been on my brain and on my teachers' brains in the classroom is that of questioning. As they're starting to implement their new centers this week, one of the things that we've been talking a lot about is open-ended questions, right, or closed-ended questions. I'm seeing a lot of parroting as the students say, "Oh, wow, I got a 5." And the first thing that is out of our mouth usually is like, "You got a 5?" Right? Yeah, they just told you they got a 5, right? And so our response is usually just a parrot response. And sometimes we do that because we can't think of anything else to say, or they caught us off guard and we're just like, "Oh yeah, you got a 5. You had a birthday yesterday? Wow," right? And so sometimes it's just that we're not engaged with them as well. And so one of the things that we've been talking about is even if we do parrot, right, because that may be our first response because I can't think of anything else, to follow it up with that assessment, right? So when they say, "I got a 5," you're like, "Yeah, you did get a 5. That's how many, wait a minute. How old are you right now?" "I'm 4." Right, so how much more is 5 than 4, right? So following that up to have a discussion about, "I just got a 5." And so being able to, when we ask closed-ended questions, right, we lead children to convergent thinking, right, rather than leading them to divergent thinking, right, with open-ended questions. So just kind of, I just want to just read a couple of ideas that we could use, right, for open-ended questionings. But what do you think? What would happen if, right? What else could you do? What could you do to fix that? How could you help her to understand? Right? And so whether it's cognitive, math, literacy, whether it's something with social, whether it's something with emotional, if we can think about how to extend their thinking rather than just asking those closed-ended questions, right? Well, what color is that bird? Well, actually, to a child who already knows their colors, that's probably not the best question, right? But tell me what you see on that bird, right? It offers an opportunity for more divergent thinking with children. So recognizing that we all have tendencies to close them down, right? Or we don't have enough time to think about how to respond. Use the parroting if you need to be able to respond more so in an open-ended fashion rather than a closed-ended fashion, right? Is it a fruit or vegetable? As we're talking about that, right? Tell me about what you're eating right now. Do you see the difference there? If it is it little or big? I wonder what size it is, right? And so then all of a sudden you've just opened things up, and it might not be little or big at all. I remember sometimes we do a question of the day every day for children, and sometimes it's just a yes or a no answer. But sometimes the children, they are amazing. We'll say, do you like triangle better than a rectangle, right? And all of a sudden they're like, "Well, actually, I like both of them." So then we say, "Well, how can you show me that you like both of them?" We'll have some kids that will write 2 names and put one on both sides. We have kids that will put them right in the middle so that communicates to us that they like both of them. Sometimes we'll have children that'll say, "I don't really like any of them." Well, so how can you communicate? How can you tell me via this chart that you don't like both of them, either of them? "Well, I'm just not going to put my name up." Right? Well, in the boundary that I'm setting up, that's not a choice. And so I say to them, "You know what, actually, that's not a choice because I have to see that everybody's here. So you have to put your name up on this paper, but how can you communicate that you don't like either one of them?" And pretty soon they'll get to the point where they'll say, "Oh, I'm just going to put it at the top. It's not in either column." Great, right? Then we know that. And so helping them think that through, right, is what's helping them to think that through is the questioning strategies that I'm using with them, rather than just that open-ended. I really am trying to be more, rather than being closed-ended, I really am trying to be more open-ended with those things. So try it this week. See how you're doing at speaking the language of children. If you know somebody that could use this little tip of the day, please feel free to pass this message along. Once again, we are at Just Keep Parenting on YouTube. And so give me a shout out and have a fabulous Friday and just keep parenting. Make it a great weekend. Thanks, friends.